Let's bring in the High Commissioner of the UK to Australia, Victoria Treadell. Thanks so much for your time. Our Prime Minister said that you get these agreements when you have shared values between two countries. Do you agree with that assessment? And why would he make that case?
Absolutely, I agree with it, because when you share values, when you have a deep understanding of each other, and indeed a friendship, it makes it so much easier to agree a position and find consensus on a way forward. So that is precisely what we have done. As you will know from the last time I was on, we've gone through 4 rounds of negotiations led by our chief negotiators, with our 2 ministers, Liz Truss and Dan Tehan, engaging on a regular basis. And then the decision in January, February to go for a sprint to get us to this point, because we knew our prime ministers would be meeting over the G7 and the bilateral visit that followed. It seemed to us a perfect occasion to try to reach that agreement in principle, which is precisely what our 2 prime ministers have done.
And it looked like it was a close-run thing in the end.
Close run, I'm not so sure. I think there was a lot of hype in the media, you know, to create that irresistible momentum to get us across the line. Obviously, it is an agreement in principle. There is still a lot of negotiating to be done, text to be finalised, the lawyers to crawl all over it, because ultimately it will be a treaty. And it will have to go through the parliamentary process, both in the UK and Australia, rightly so, as we are democracies. And our parliaments must scrutinise, and then we will finalise the deal and it will come into effect.
Where do you see the most lucrative opportunities both ways? Because you know both countries well now as High Commissioner to Australia, and of course I know you're a car enthusiast yourself. What are the most lucrative options here for trade?
Let's start with our consumers, Australians and Brits. Many goods will now be tariff-free, so 5% off things like cars, whiskey in this direction from the UK, many of our confectionery goods, the things that people love to eat. Likewise, I think it's great news, as I was listening to the debate in your parliament just this afternoon, for your farming industry, opening up opportunities for them to the UK. That will be a phased approach, but ultimately we know the end destination that we're heading for. And I think the mobility point, raising the age for Australians to go and have their experience of Britain to 35, means many more Australians can go and enjoy a British experience. And likewise, in opening up the opportunities for young Brits and coming in this direction, not just to work in farms, but to be able to pursue any form of work that they wish during their time here. There are many benefits. But I think, as our 2 prime ministers made clear, this speaks to the wider relationship. There's always a risk with 2 old friends that you can take each other for granted, to be complacent in the relationship.
You don't think that's happened?
I think, you know, we could have been very comfortable continuing as we were. The whole process of negotiating this FTA has re-energised the relationship. And in those negotiations, we've identified many other areas where we could collaborate in a far deeper way, whether it's on critical minerals, supply chains, science and innovation collaboration. We've already established the space bridge following our fintech bridge. Those kind of opportunities that we have uniquely pursued with each other also set a template for how we can work together internationally and do it with other countries.
So you see this as, well, your Prime Minister called it the symbolism of this as well, as the UK seeks to reopen post-Brexit.
Yes, of course, and there is truth in that. This is proof that we can and we have negotiated bespoke FTAs. Let's not forget, we negotiated a really important FTA as part of our departure from the EU, tariff and quota-free, the kind of FTA the EU has not agreed with anybody else. So that was actually the first FTA. We have done over 80 rollover arrangements from the previous EU arrangements that governed the nature of our trade with other countries. So in this part of the world, Japan, Singapore are two examples of those. But this is the first, from scratch, bottom-up FTA that we have negotiated.
And it could be a stepping stone into the Indo-Pacific as well, with
Yes.
the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's got a different name now, but that effectively...
The CPTPP.
Yeah, I'm glad you're across it, but there's a dozen countries of the region that now,
That's
no doubt,
right.
the UK will have access to soon enough.
In some of our negotiations, this is not a secret, we looked at the CPTPP text. Can we improve on that, or is that good enough? We've looked at what Australia has agreed with other countries. If I take the digital agenda, we've looked at what you've agreed with Singapore. We've said we've liked that, and that should be our starting point. So we have taken the best from what Australia has done with others, some of the things that we aspire to ourselves, and this is the point that we've reached. This is truly historic.